Thank you for joining. My name is Yu Shen, and I will be your moderator today. Today's session is titled Railway Domain Session 3, IFC alignment in relation with other railway nodes, and update of high reliability interoperability of for railway stations project. The speakers for this session are Airy Magnien, Digital Twin Technical Authority from UIC, and Dashuang Li, Liaison Officer from CRB. The session is scheduled to last 90 minutes, including time for questions at the end. The session will be recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. I would like also to bring your attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensure that participation in the development of standards is unrestricted and the process of their adoption is transparent. The standards that are developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, non-binding, and accessible to all. Please take note of our antitrust code of conduct. Now I would like to hand over to Airy.
Yes, so hello, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe I should sit here, so maybe the camera would be catching me, or stand here, so rather. Yes, in the middle. So, yes, this is a code of conduct, but I would need the first slide, maybe of the presentation to frame the whole stuff. Shall I just put here? Okay. Yeah, indeed, it works. So the title is quite down to earth, how to represent a train on a track. And I had to do that in the course of a research project. So starting very simple. I'm not working in an industrial environment, although of course I have been working in industrial environments most of the time in my career and still think how to make that useful for an industrial environment. So the short answer is just do it using IFC. In fact, this is a result of my toy experiment with me dabbling, and surprisingly, I was able to produce something that more or less looks like 3 boxcars on an alignment. And it could be displayed in this excellent USBIM browser provided by Alka Software. Very simple to use. And also the good surprise is validating the whole produce IFC file producer with IFC OpenShell. Again, no problem using that. Well, the resulting IFC file was nearly correct. And here I must say that the IFC validation service did an excellent job in allowing me to train myself in using IFC correctly. So this is something a bit new. And I would encourage anybody who has not yet tried to use the IFC validation service to go through it, because again, it smoothens a bit the learning curve. So yes, so it can be done, of course, can be refined. I'd even tried a version with the axles represented and then 2 rails, but that's not the purpose for today. So basically the presentation was over. No, not exactly. Because if I did such representation, such pictures with the 3 boxcars on an alignment, it's also to exchange data. And here I indulged in publishing data in not only in IFC, of course, the way you feed USBIM, but also serializing the data in a different format, which is of the FTurtle, yet another text format. Of course, there is an intention behind, you will see later why. But okay, this is a very concrete experiment and not just for decorating your living room. So why UFC alignment? Of course, there could be alternatives. And in the context of my project, nobody forces me to use IFC. I'm doing railway projects where BIM is one of the aspects, but certainly not the only one. And lots of competing model and initiatives, etc. So, well, why use IFC alignment? First, because it's a usable representation of parametric geometry, 2D, 3D, including track count, thanks to the efforts of the railway room. Second, very important for railways, it implements ISO 19148. In conjunction with IFC linear placement, this ISO is the one about linear referencing. One of the fundamentals of railways is, of course, linear referencing. There is more and more usage of GPS, of course, for locators or something. But in the end, what you want to know is how many meters until I will reach that red signal. Or if you speak ETCS, the newspeak of railway signaling, how many meters until I reach the end of my movement authority. And this question is not easily answered with GPS. It is much more easily answered if you have a reliable linear positioning system, of course. Well, so that model IFC, that part of the IFC schema has been refined also with the active participation of about 6 infrastructure managers. So I think it's a guarantee to be close to the domain users. It doesn't work only with toy examples, and we saw yesterday by Elena Ciampa and Mr. Corelli that you can also represent large chunks of infrastructure with IFC alignment and other IFC entities in a satisfactory way. It is possible also to get away from the alignment, which is, of course, a bit abstract with curves, clothoids, etc., and tie to it very tightly a bitmap, well, a sampled representation, because we have IFC representation in all the subclasses. So from that point of view, the IFC schema is quite satisfactory. And there are also tools for reverse engineering. That is, if you have a real existing alignment, basically you make a survey. In many cases, you may have lost the initial design criteria because the track has been laid out 1 century before. But you can reconstruct the IFC alignment segments with adequate software. And for instance, Sierra Soft Rails does that, as I verified yesterday. And by the way, if RFI is somewhere in the room, I don't see my colleagues. Oh, yes. I would like to know if you did some reverse engineering that is from the survey back to the IFC, generating IFC alignment with Sierra Soft Rails. That would be an interesting piece of information for me. Thanks in advance. So I'm asking questions. It's the reverse world here. Okay. I hope you will revenge later on. And then, of course, when you have one satisfactory IFC schema, the professional question is to say, are there equivalent or better alternatives? The answer is, I'm afraid, no, because we do have a UML model embedded in ISO 19148, but applying it is a bit, well, tedious. Should it be done from scratch? We'll still have to implement it into another model. So that was extra work for me, and my time allowance is limited. And second, you do have a transposition of linear referencing, so with some alignment aspects in DTEX 2 in all with variants, etc., supported by some European projects, especially in the road sector. But for reasons I will not explain here because time is too short, finally I rejected myself using DTEX, although it has merits, no doubt. But IFC alignment was probably the best choice. Most railway oriented, and I'm working in that field, so that's why. So IFC and what else? IFC doesn't describe the whole world because my problem is not only to show a couple of boxcars in an alignment, but I have to deal with the boxcars and the trains that are incorporated themselves. So the information I need is not just the IfcVehicle class, and I forgot the other one, but I need to talk about vehicle topology. A train set is a set of an ordered set of oriented vehicles, and these are nuances that are not easily, they are not baked in the IFC schema. You could put that in annotations, but I want them the important information to stay at the surface. Second, I have to deal with the vehicle information typology, the purpose, the power source, electric locomotive, passenger coach, blah, blah. I have to talk about the payloads because one of my potential model users is interested to know if the containers that are on the train that is passing a detection portal, if these containers have been displaced maybe, and if they are infringing the gauge. I need to talk at different levels of the rolling stock because we have operational requirements. I need a heavy electric locomotive able to run at 160. We have the manufacturer catalogs answering the requirements, and we have the physical inventory that is supposed to be conformed to the manufacturer catalog, except that, as you know, locomotives will last for 40 years, and very often in their lifetime, they will be subject to transformations, sometimes very deep ones. So here, distinctions have to be introduced that are partly to be found in IFC. If you see the distinction between IFC object and IFC object type, you already have something like the difference between manufacturer catalog entry and physical inventory. Then we also need, for simulation purpose, to store the traction and braking performance envelopes, and we need, and that's the most crucial aspect, to deal with maintenance in the life cycle of the stuff. So we need the state of repair and a temporal dimension to be also baked into the model. So here definitely more models need to cooperate. With just IFC, I will not be able to do the job. And of course, you can hope to expand IFC, but that is tantamount to believe in model center coming. That is, you have many standards. You are trying to develop the standards for the God model, the standards of all standards, and then you get one another standards overlapping with the others. In that case, you will never meet Santa. You will meet Knecht Ruprecht in Deutschland. You know what Knecht Ruprecht is. I discovered there's the English equivalent to it. It's a farmhand Rupert, Krampus for Austrians. Okay, so no, that's certainly not the way to do things. Let's make model cooperates. There are models more specialized to deal with the rolling stock. And I would like to use IFC and those models and not having one model eating up the other and choking on it, by the way. So the context is, by the way, this project, FP1 Motional, one of the EU and stakeholder-funded research projects for European rail. And I will skip the details about FP1 Motional. It's well documented on the internet, but on the other hand, I'm especially working as a deputy work package leader in work package 30. There are many work packages, precisely in charge of what is called the conceptual data model. That is, in fact, aiming at becoming a federation of models, not kind of empire with colonies, and where each model will remain autonomous, keep its identity, be politely asked maybe not to expand too much over its original destination. And so with minimal requirements on governance. But of course, this is a very high level, I would say, political vision. First, it's not shared by all and everybody, even though it's at least in part supported by the European authorities in that case. And then the vision is nice, but can you do it? Is a problem. So that's a challenge. And here I took the liberty to borrow from Leon van Berlo's blog about data interoperability, because we don't want data in the end, we're not talking models, in fact. We want, in the end, data to flow freely from a model to another one in a federation of models. Leon wrote down that interoperability includes data exchange, but data exchange does not guarantee interoperability. Okay, sounds a bit cryptic, but the next sentence in the blog was more explicit. Next time someone tells you the solution is interoperable, ask them, can I really operate on the incoming data without translation or loss of meaning? If not, it's just another form of digital duct tape. So this sounds as an extremist, I would say, an extreme way to formulate things. And I think that research should be guided by extremes, thesis, other thesis, etc. And then you find out what in the end would work and practically. In that case, I would ask myself if a translation that is both deterministic and distortion-free can be qualified as duct tape. That would be the technical answer to it. And the second is more philosophical. Can we live without duct tape at all? I think it would be a strange world and a broken one if we had no duct tape at all. So once again, I take that kind of, by the way, it's from a blog, so it's not an official position. I take that kind of views as a challenge, of course, because it's, of course, if you had everything unified, and no need for transforming everything, that would be ideal. But we are not in a greenfield exercise. So possible way? Maybe. First, let's start with the Express, the language which is used for the IFC data schema. Because when I want to get concrete, I, of course, have to deal with Express, first thing. Of course, Express might qualify it as being ugly. First, it's not widespread. So in the current world, if you are not mainstream, it's not good. Second, you have to pay for that. If I want to learn UML, I don't have to pay for getting the standard. Ugly. Then you have text-based Pascal-like syntax. Okay, I adore that. Niklas Wirth. Okay, but most people don't like Pascal-like syntax because it looks, maybe it reminds them of their studies at university, where Pascal was a teaching language for so many years. Thanks, Mr. Niklas Wirth. Well, and maybe some things that I would criticize now from my current point of view. Well, you have in the same schema both the concepts and the constraints, and I think they should be separated. We'll get to that afterwards. But then I think Express has lots of chocolate, has a nice chocolate side. First, it's a clean and consistent language. Okay, even for French, especially for French people. Cartesian, huh? It's good news. Second, there's a high expressiveness, I dare say, better than UML class diagrams. And by the way, if you want to use UML at the same level as Express, you would have also to use OCL. I used OCL, I learned the whole stuff 20 years ago, running application on that basis, and I will not recommend it. And last and not least, Express is easily parsed and there are no bloody variants. It's not SMI, nicht wahr, Mr. Pinzenöller? So, yes, I think at least we have a workable basis. I'm, of course, interested to see what will happen with IFC5 when IFC5 comes, but I'm not waiting. And I cannot, because my project is going to finish in 1 year from now. So, many things to consider here. We should have data schemas, models, as some others would say, able to reference each other. We like to privilege meaning over structures, especially when we have an open world, and I don't want too much information to be captured in structures, then they will become no longer deformable. I would like constraints separated from meaning, because meaning is supposed to be more or less universal, where constraints are, most of them, project-specific. I would consider open data by default. Okay, maybe it's a personal attitude. I accept that different entities, different companies are working, or maybe working on the same thing in a more or less coordinated way. That is, I must accept that sometimes the same object will have two different identifiers according to who minted the identifier. This is especially where the technology of choice shines, I would say, or the technology stack. Because especially using all ontologies, you can afford to have objects with different identifiers, because exposed, you can say, by the way, these two objects are the same. And you can formally express it, so it's not just in the document. It's one of the convenient aspects of all ontologies. The other convenient aspect is that the European Commission is promoting the usage of that kind of ontologies, especially to try and sort out the chaos of data exchange across Europe. Then the rest of the technology stack made even less well known. It's a shackle for time-dependent or project-specific constraints. It looks very similar. It's fully compatible. And then the most important ingredient, the IRIs or URL in general, that is the fundamental ingredient of the semantic web. That is, you're able to publish objects. And by the way, with dual personality, thanks to content negotiation, that is, you can have them as a JSON snippet. They're dereferenceable from the net, or you can have the same as a piece of documentation for human readers over the same URL. So that looks very promising in order to try and realize an experiment of model federation, and hoping to convince people that's the right way to follow. So the starting point is currently I do have candidates for the federation inside the CDM. The candidates have different formats. I mean, XST schemas, JSON schemas, UML models, Express schema, one case. I don't have to mention which one, you know. And all have been transformed into all ontologies. And by the way, you can download them from that particular website maintained by UIC. And there are also other developments in public GitHubs. Public doesn't mean famous, of course. Still a bit confidential. On the other hand, we do have IFC, and we did perform the transformation Express to all. In fact, at first, I used the pioneering works by Peter Powers and Walter Terkay, back 2016-17 around. The tool sets are no longer available, and I, in fact, asked Peter Powers to provide me the latest version of IFC-all using his tool sets that were already used for publishing IFC-all previous versions on the buildingSMART website. So I got the transformation done. That was the first thing. Currently, I'm developing my own tool because for reasons I understood, and I'm ready to do an alternative tool set as open source that will be open to the community in due time, if there is an interest, of course. I hope I will spark some interest today. Okay. And by the way, this is the interface because the tool already works. It's not totally about criticism. So I will open the source in March. There are good reasons for waiting until March. And one of them I will mention in the following slide. So it's absolutely not based on the code established by Powers, Terkay, and others, but it follows the same principles. And then adds a couple of things. For instance, so removing the constraints from the old file and putting them into shackle, etc. There are also some pluses in comparison with what Peter and Walter did before. It's nice to, of course, import IFC, the Express, the standard model. It's even better to have all the classes referencing BSDD directly. And this is done, of course, automatically. So each class in the ontology is defined by a BSDD entry, as it should be. Unfortunately, not the properties, the relations, because unfortunately, BSDD is, well, to some extent, a quasi-ontology, but a crippled one, where the relations are not documented. And that might be a suggestion, of course, in the future for buildingSMART, whether it would be worthwhile considering replacing the current shape of BSDD by a real ontology, where you also document the properties and not just the classes. But for the time being, we have an established basis, we have tools based on the BSDD, etc., and I'm just following suit. And it's all compatible. We still have one small roadblock, and it's also one of my reasons for not publishing the code now. For the time being, the express schema is covered by a license that says explicitly no derivative. And here, I think we have a talking point between UIC and buildingSMART. Knowing that, on the other hand, the IFCO, as officially released by IFC, has a status of, no such restriction. You may transform it. So here, there's a point of discussion. Again, it's more a matter of management than anything else, maybe of certification. So would like to enter into the discussion later on with buildingSMART. I think it's one of the keys to the solving the problem. By the way, whatever I intend to publish is UPR 1.2, which is a very liberal license and not contaminating. It means if you need this piece of software expressed to all for certain reasons, it doesn't mean that every other piece of cooperating software shall alter its license. Not the case. So the problem is now once I have a old version of IFC and different ontology versions of different schemas, how do I compose the schema I need for a particular use case? So it's another way of crafting ambiguities, I would say, that I'm trying to experiment with here. And with this practical setup, in fact, on the... Does it work? Yeah. Not very bright, but still. On the left-hand side, you have the stack of public ontologies that are supposed to be federated, like semantic RSM, for the topology of the railways, the ERA-TAF ontology, and, well, IFCO. Then I need a couple of adapters. You will see why. It's also part of the solutions. It's not a problem. It's, in fact, an ingredient for the solution. And then if you deal with a particular use case like train operations, you will see that some items are missing from that federation of models. So you will have to do your own small additional model to impersonate what you need to talk about. Once that is done, you can simply list the models you want. Ask this piece of software called OntoJSON or OntoComposer in the future to generate a schema using a list of published and document transformation parameters that you can select on and off. Like, I don't want constraints. I just want semantics. Or I want the constraints, but in a separate file, etc. And then you can publish the stuff as either an aggregated ontology, so keeping in the old OWL world, or you might maybe produce an express schema, or you can generate a JSON schema. And I put here JSON as a priority because it's in high demand with many developers, and especially my current internal customer from another project, European project, says, we want to use JSON schema. Sorry. Okay, so be it. But the point is, I generate a JSON schema as a platform-specific model that, however, fully uses and only uses the semantics that are contained in the original model. So whatever is provided by IFC conforms at least the definitions of IFC. May not conform a particular MVD, of course, and this is where conformity would end. But at least the concepts are properly conveyed. OntoComposer works, by the way, with a desktop and a web interface. And there is also an additional ingredient that might be of relevance at some point in the different working groups of buildingSMART. That is the ability of partitioning. The talk about introducing more modularity in IFC was also on the agenda for IFC 5, which I understand is now a bit delayed. But never mind, because you can also do partitioning on the fly if you need to. You don't need to ask buildingSMART International to do it for you. Why not? And I did that experimentally, of course, with 3 different strategies. One, the results were no good, so I'm not showing the details here for good reasons. But the most promising part is definitely semantic analysis of what you are describing, and then arbitrating a bit with the taxonomy of your different objects, etc. And you might get interesting results. In fact, there is another work stream by a fellow engineer of mine, Mr. Didier Guillonnet, who is currently producing an artificial intelligence supported semantic analysis, allowing to partition the big models, not only IFC schema, which is one of the cases, I have other cases, into smaller chunks that are more easily grasped by domain experts who would like to only see what they are concerned about. And by the way, when I produce JSON, it is the next step, because why not use JSON LD? JSON huggers will be pleased with JSON LD. Nearly the same syntax, except that is fully equivalent to other RDF-all syntaxes. So it's much more, potentially much more powerful, and would not need more duct tape, to paraphrase Mr. Van Berlo. So there are some details, but I think time is a bit running out, so I will not insist on these. IFC reshaping, sorry, as I said before, the purpose is not to force or try, of course it's hopeless, to ask buildingSMART to do things in a different way. It's just suggestions about how to deal with the present situation. So the monolithic schema management and versioning is hard, we know that. Big modules are hard to reuse, especially in the context of a federation of models. It's not just IFC schema, I have 10 different schemas to deal with. And by the way, I noticed since I'm using semantic technologies with lots of inferences, I noticed that having a big schema is very lousy to debug, because simply you are slowed down by the machine. The reason is tied to mill, grind, etc. If you want to know everything good about modularity, just can read the Peter Powers paper from 2017, which I also took inspiration from. So here we have solution and fixes. IFC schema could be changed. It's not my business. I just mentioned it for the sake of being complete. The CDM manager, which is something different, that is the entity who would manage the federation with, as I said, minimal governance rules, can and should create adapters bridging ontologies when and where needed. This is part of the solution. It's not an additional problem. And on the tooling side, and you maybe saw that in the presentation, in fact, I start to see that instead of philosophizing too much on models and meta models, we should really focus on tool sets, because it's maybe what is most missing right now. When you want different models to cooperate, you need tools, not duct tape, real tools, usable tools. So here I took the initiative to start a couple of things in open source, and I hope that that move might be followed by others. Time is out, basically, so I will not insist on the existence of adapters, which sometimes are criticized. Adapters are just there because models have been developed independently from each other. So ignore each other, and if you want to then to talk to each other, you must formalize the links. You have to do that. Until maybe at some point, there will be a kind of coordinated development of different models. I don't think that's reasonable. And it imposes probably too much on the different chapters. So adapters are definitely very small, lightweight software components that would be curated by the conceptual data model manager, just to make sure that the different models talk to each other and can be certified also when they are being used in conjunction. Small remark, you can, and I did already, delegate some things to GeoSparkle, because if you look at the somewhat complex but sound IFC class structure here, specialized for the case of a track, its alignment, its representation, there are definitely pieces where IFC does not provide addressability of each single object in that area, because it's not needed. In that case, you better delegate the whole stuff maybe to another model that in that case would be GeoSparkle, and which I use. So as an alternative IFC shape representation, but not with that level of complexity. So conclusion, I'm not going to repeat myself, time is more than over, but I think that definitely IFC or IFC schema should become an officially supported member of the CDM. So that's the part maybe to be discussed between our organizations, UIC and buildingSMART. Knowing that many parts of IFC can be used as is and should be used as is, and this is absolutely my purpose, not copy and paste, and then wipe out the traces, as some would do right now, breaching all licenses. This is absolutely not, absolutely out of the question. So modularity is desirable. I saw that there are workarounds when the modules are not there. And licensing, of course, is an important question, because breaching licenses, sorry, not at my age, I don't want to end up in prison. And there are definitely some transverse topics I would like to address at some point with buildingSMART, like time dependence or tolerances, uncertainties, which are crucial in engineering and underused even in the current IFC schema. Please note, IFC is the only schema I saw until now that dares speak about fundamental metrology issues like tolerances and uncertainties. Every other engineering model totally ignores that. I don't understand. At least I've not been trained that way in 1980. Okay. So these would be my provisional technical conclusions. Of course, political support is needed. I hope I can also gain it. Sometimes I feel a bit lonely. So thanks for staying, especially because I overstayed my own presentation by 10 minutes. But I think there are only 2 presentations this session, right? Yeah. This is why I was not whistled down by Joshan before. Okay, so thanks for your attention. And by the way, what's the QR code? I saw it all the time, but what's it supposed to achieve? It was on templates. You will see the annexes when you download the presentation.
Any questions?
Thank you, Airy. Very interesting. I have a question. You jump in the operation production point of view, I think, with the thinking. RailML, it's for me the open format which operates in this section. What are the additional value of your solution or your approach, or different use cases to the well-known approach with RailML?
Well, one of the real system model components, one of the components of the CDM real system model has a past history with RailML, because the so-called RTM, real topo model, that is published currently by railml.org, is in fact a branch, unauthorized, but this is a different question, of real system model itself. Real system model has evolved quite a bit, because now it's a semantic model, and it has been reshaped, because when you change the formal language, you better rethink the way you modeled before. The formal language is not neutral. But roughly speaking, they're absolutely compatible, and although RailML is not part of the CDM for reasons I will mention later, it's fully compatible. I mean, the duct tape here is easy to set up. And for instance, in our project, we use data published by Barnenor and Trafikverket, so from Scandinavia, infrastructure data that are provided as RailML 3.2, which was a relief for me because the basic structure, the topology, is the RTM, RSM topology that we share. So from that point of view, there's no big difference. The big difference is RealML has lots of packages dedicated to train operations, timetabling, for instance. Also, rolling stock performance that I definitely could reuse. The issue is rather with, although it's an open model, the issue is with the licensing conditions, UPL 1.2, that unfortunately are not compatible. And here I'm not religious about licenses, but we are asked to use EUPL 1.2 because there are European policies behind. I cannot sympathize with the providing solutions, even open source solutions, where on the other hand, every change in the source or destination models or any change in the software would require a recertification for money and delay. So this is not possible. Certification is sometimes needed, but not always. And I would here gladly explore the way to open the possibilities either to self-certification. You can do self-certification of wagons right now. Why not of software? European policies. European policies were about saying in order to open market, we want third-party certifications. No bias. By the way, the RLNL certification is not third-party. Second, noticing that third-party certification would be an extreme cost and delay imposed on railways, they said, why not self-certification in some cases? Which is maybe one of the way out, because I am not against some formalism here. Here I'm open to explore any kind of solutions, but to be honest, and open the microphone. So this is a reason. But again, RealML is a workable model. No problem. Other questions?
So, hello everyone. My name is Dashuang from the CRBIM, and today we will present the station project, the updates of the station project with my colleague Hao Yu. So, first I would like to introduce the background of this project, just for the new people joining the railway domain. Okay. So from 2018, we initiated the IFC Rails project with other railway companies. So we focus on some domains such as the power, the telecom, the signal, and work together. So finally, the part of the IFC Rail was contributed to the IFC 4.3 and published as the ISO 16739. So we really appreciate the support from the railway room in that moment. And after the F0 project, the CRBIM was thinking about how to provide more to buildingSMART and OpenBeam. After a survey for requirement of FC with China, so we decided to put our eyes on station, or explain in detail the station area, not the station building. So in China, we are exploring on how to apply the OpenBeam in station area. But also, that's not the station building, but also the disciplines connected with the station building, such as the track, the MEP, the power, and so on. So we also pay attention on the transportation hub, which covering the train station, the bus stop, the subway, the airport. But first, we should complete the FC for station area. And according to the talk with the buildingSMART, as far as we know, the change action of FC is really hard now. So therefore, we choose the buildingSMART data dictionary to realize it. by comparing the IFC with the station area beam requirements, we hope the blank part of IFC in terms of the station area and the transportation part could be filled. So that's the context of this project. Then I will hand it to my colleague Hao-Yu, and he will present the project details and the technical part and the updates of our work. So next, Hao-Yu, is yours.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Airy Magnien. I'm BIM manager at CRBIM. I'm really excited to share the updates of our project here. I think some of you we have made in Singapore this spring, but in case some of you may new to this project, please first allow me to give a brief introduction of what we have done on this project. In 2023, CRBIM Shanghai was set up, and our goal was firstly working on IFC for railway station project. Since we found that current IFC standard cannot fulfill the requirements of railway station in design, construction, and management, we wanted to have a common standard that can be applied for railway station as well. In March of 2024, we started to investigate what we need for railway stations. We see railway station evolution bring challenges. We see BIM application in China railway stations. We see different type of railway stations, and we see the complexity of modern railway stations. All these things indicate that BIM use and lots of complex work. Thus, we conclude that we need a set of information exchange standard that can be recognized by industry and can be applied to different type of railway stations. At the same time, we attended the BISI Spring Summit last year. We saw many good presentations and projects and got inspired by them. We also made our IFC for station activity proposal presentation. That was a remarkable event, which means our project officially started. In the April of 2024, we were honored to invite Ms. Leon, the BISI technical director, and Yu Sheng, the international project coordinator, to our technical seminar. They shared lots of knowledge of BSDD and IFC 5.0 and their relationship by suggesting us amending IFC with BSDD rather than touch the IFC 4.3, which will be harder and take a longer process. After a fully study of BSDD and its relationship with IFC, we accepted the suggestion and started to figure out how could we use BSDD to amend IFC standard and making it fit into railway station project perfectly. From the April of 2024 and the September of 2024, we have done a lot of preparation work, including turning IFC for station plan into high reliable interoperability for railway station plan. We finished our proposal and turned in the DPP, got them reviewed on BSD RDSC meeting. We also made our first international industry demand service and finally get it approved within domain. With our efforts, we turned our project from BSI domain project into future BSDD example domain project. This remarkable process got our project well known within the buildingSMART International. In the October of 2024, we attended the BSI Autumn Summit and made the presentation about our HIRS kickoff session. How many of you guys have attended that presentation? You can raise up your hand. Last autumn, about our kickoff section. I think some of you have attended. And thank you for interesting our project and come again. We released the industry demand service and called for participation as well. We also discussed the project schedule together. However, it might due to that we did not have a detailed plan and a sample. We did not get many response from last time, and I hope we will get many response after this summit. From the November of 2024 to the December 2024, we did a lot of work based on the feedback. We optimized and reversed the survey from the reverse draft and republished it to obtain more accurate and consistent information. We continuously collect the information from the update survey and summarize requirements. And a revised version, and reverse version of survey has been published last December. The FPP has been uploaded to be reviewed, and we also finished validating and uploading our first test version of PSDD railway station last year. And during the 2025 BSI Spring Summit in Singapore, we introduced the process of our project, and BSI, ACC, and Siemens has confirmed to work with us. FCC and DB also showed interests, and also we are here in Germany, in Berlin. So we want to talk with DB about the cooperation later because it's in Berlin. And for the whole progress, we are in the middle of the whole progress. Right now, we have our railway station data dictionary. The draft version has been made, and for the rest of things we need to do is validate with the real project, do the use case management, modify and perfect the final version, release the final version, and promote application and international consistency. And now let's go a little bit deep into our project. Firstly, I'd like to share the motivation of our project. For the railway station, it is a very important component of railway industry. It connects the railway network and the infrastructures and takes responsibility of passengers' transportation. It helps the region economic development and increase the urban comprehensive competitiveness. The standardization demands are increasing with increasing data interoperability, and it can be digital foundation for smart city and digital twin. The standards we have now have limitation and could not fulfill the requirements. We have a huge market in railway. By 2023, we have built 45,000 kilometers of railway and have around 2,000 railway stations. We also have more than 50 railway stations under construction and planning by 2035. The number will increase just for China, let alone the whole world. However, lots of problems remain unsolved. The digital environment of railway stations require lots of customization work. Legal, region, and cultural differences lead to not consistent. The lack of interoperability poses challenges to asset management and decision making. The current IFC 4.3 standard does not meet the information required by railway station projects. And our outcome should be increase interoperability for station information and promote computational data auto-processing. Our output should create the best possible solution for railway station data standardization in terms of workflow, data exchange, and optimization. And our scope is global railway station projects, BSI products and services, and may collaborate with airport domain in comprehensive transportation hubs. And here you can see our plan. Our project totally takes 2 years, 8 seasons. The first phase is domain project application. The second phase will be the demand analysis. The third phase will be the railway station data dictionary. The fourth phase is validation and modification, and the fifth phase is expert consolidation. For the first phase, it takes 1 season and around 900 working labors, and we have done all this before 2024 Autumn Summit kickoff section. And for the second phase, it's from season 2 to season 4, it will take a longer time. It's around 3,000 working hours. And also, we have done all of this as well before the Spring Summit this year, before the Singapore International Summit. We have called for participation, and we have divided a working plan, schedule, and also a budget. I will show the budget later. And for the third phase, it's from season 4 to season 6. We have done most of it, and the rest we need to do is do the expert panel review section and finish the developable and publish the railway station data dictionary on the website. Because right now we have finished combine those standards offline, but we haven't published it online. We will do that later after the autumn summit. And for the fourth phase, it's from season 7 to season 8. It's including validation and modification. That's what we need to do later after the autumn summit. And also we need to do the use case management and apply it to a real project as well. And the last phase will be about the project management and global promotion. It lasts from the first season to last season because we are keep doing this through the whole process. And next, I will talk about our work basis. We work basis on the experience of IFC 4.3 and Railway Data Exchange Industry Demand Survey, and list of railway station classes, properties, and extra. Here we can see we have a lot of fields within the railway stations. So we have architecture, structure, water supply, lighting, and extra. Thus, we need experts from different views to help us build these standards, because there is not a person can be experts in so many fields, and we have enough experts from those fields. That's our working basis as well. And the railway station data exchange industry demand survey is also an important working base. It helps us collect the information about the basic information, characteristic, and information transmission needs for railway stations, applications of current IFC and the BSCD, willingness of participation, opinions, and suggestions. And next, it will be the updates from last call for participation sessions, which is the buildingSMART Spring Summit 2025 in Singapore. We have compared with our first test version. The people who joined our Spring Summit may know for our first test version, we divide a dictionary into many different fields. But right now, we have now combined them into one dictionary and did the duplicate checking with the Excel format. And we have also made the Dashuang field with our self-developed software. And also, the budget has been updated after discuss with Richard, who is the buildingSMART operation director. And we also have signed up the MOU. Our new budget has excluded the in-kind work based on Richard's suggestion, because initially we add all our in-kind work into our budget, which makes the budget cost a lot of money, maybe scared our partner. However, after revised it, we find out that the actual money we need to pay will be around 53,500 euros, which will be much fewer than what we made for our first version. And also, since we divided our work into 14 different majors, we also assigned them into different teams. We have all our expert companies join us to make this standard, including design group and the construction group, and also in every cities as well. And our method is Each team examines and reorganize their approach, starting from the unique perspective of railway stations, and set up the frame first. And then we use Excel template and self-developed software to get JSON and validate and upload. When we build up the frame, we think about two things. First, from our expert view, what we need for the railway station. Second, could this entity or class or property be found in IFC 4.3? If IFC 4.3 can describe this entity or class, we don't need to extend it. But if we find it hard to express this entity or class, let's see, we want to amend or expand this class, this property, this entity into the BSDD. And also, when we expand the entities, we want to find its relationship with IFC 5.4.3. We see if it's the child set from IFC or if it's father. And also, we define the unique child classes for railway stations. We found what's missing in IFC and what's special for railway station. And finally, we define it as a child classes related to IFC classes. And for example, the example you can see here is a VIP log. Actually, this is a space, and the space is defined in IFC 4.3. But in IFC, it cannot fully describe because the VIP log has its unique description for the railway station. This is a unique space for the people who purchase the VIP ticket and to rest and waiting for the train. We found that for the we cannot use the current IFC standard to describe this, and that's we decide let's extend this class and expand it into the BSDD. And also the comparison and duplicate checking work is important as well. Since after each part get validated independently, we combine them into one dictionary. But however, different major may add the same property or same classes as well. Even though some classes does not appear in IFC 4.3, different major may also add the same property, same class. For example, for bridges and for tunnels and for structure, these are three different majors, but they may add the same property, such as length or something like this. So the things we need to do is, after we combine all those dictionaries, we need to do the duplicate checking and remove what has been added, in case there will be duplicate classes or properties appear in our BSDD. And finally, it's about the problems when we're making the BSDD. We find out the first problem is the classification controversy, and the second problem is all the work are done based on our Chinese working experience, and our aim is to want to make it international. So the casing is the buildingSMART dictionary for railway station cannot be just applied within China. We want it can be applied worldwide, fit all railway stations around the world. So we need suggestions and we need the participations from other countries. And also, our work is lack of diverse participants. Most of our experts comes from the design and the construction companies. We still need the experts from the owner and maybe the maintenance and the operation companies. As thus, since the BSDD is kind of a database, it should include everything. It should not just focus on design or construction. Thus, we need more participants from diverse fields. And that's my presentation for today. Thank you all for the attention. And any questions?
Thank you, me again. Do you plan the integration of the aspect of passenger flow in the model or as an extension? There are information objects maybe where the people stay and read and block the passenger flow. So in Switzerland, that's a very argument. We have huge restrictions to place some informations on the platforms, for example, so that the people not can move anymore and take the times for interchange and everything like that. I think BIM could be a very good approach for the spatial assessment. If we can show that there are some objects which restrict to people getting stay there, they have to move, and there are a lot of models simulating that, and maybe we can approach in the models such an aspect as well, which helps them to make all this simulation evaluation in the project phase. And in the operational phase, if you have a timetable change, for example, then the passenger flow defines the escalator growth and everything like that. All this movement, all this dynamic aspect in a station could be a very, very interesting aspect. Do you plan to integrate that?
Yeah, thank you for the suggestion. That's why I say we need experts from like operation and owner, because like we from our design and then construction aspect, we did not find out that okay, that's important. And since your suggestion is very good, and we will include that into our data diction as well, because I think that's a good part to add to amend. Thank you very much.
I would have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Yeah, you mentioned BSDD as I did. What were your findings when you were working on BSDD from your Chinese perspective? When you say controversy, what do you exactly mention?
Controversy about you mean the
BSDD.
You mean the classification controversy or?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thing is like I talked with Yushen and other experts worldwide, because in China, actually we divide a lot of major. For example, for the water supply, we have water supply indoor, we have water supply outdoor, and our experts, like maybe some of experts work for the indoor water supply, and some of them work for the outdoor supply. Maybe the same pipe. In China, we define, since the usage of the same pipe is different, so different experts think, okay, I need to make a class like the pipe indoor, and another thing we need a pipe outdoor. But maybe in worldwide, we just say, okay, this is just a pipe for the water supply. It's the same class. It should not be two classes. I think this kind of things is kind of classification controversy. That's what we want to solve.
Okay, so it's about precisely it's about the taxonomy. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Mm-hmm.
好，刚才 Sarabim 介绍了站房的 BSDD，我想是不是再明确一下站房这个专业14个分类里面都有哪些专业？这个适合中国的分类方式，那么是怎么样能够适合其他国家的方式？那么这个项目组将后面怎么样开展这项工作，能够适合大家使用？这是第一个问题。刚才前面这个 UIC 先生介绍了他的那个相关的内容，非常好。我想就在 UIC，主要是国际铁路标准怎么样跟这个 BSDD 还有这个 IFC 能够融合起来。我们也希望能够把这个IFC 铁路的 IFC 还有这个BSDD 能够在国际铁路标准当中能够推行和使用。
我讲前半部分。Okay, the things will be about the different majors. I hate just ask what is the classification controversy, like because like in China we define those majors in detail For example, we have bridges and curves. We have structure. Those two major, maybe worldwide, all conclude into structure. And the things we want to solve is this is this definition just based on our Chinese work. Will it be accepted worldwide? So we need the suggestions from different countries to reverse the field define, and finally find out what works well both in China and worldwide, and how to push it worldwide and make the BSDD standard can be applied worldwide.
Yes. So actually, Manipulation is from Sharebeam. So she just mentioned there's two comments about the project, and how you are just explain the first comment, and I will explain the second comment from the Manipulation, because we are working now. We are working on this BSDD with buildingSMART, and we also hope that it could be. We hope we can work together with the UIC to explore how to combine the railway standard and with the BSDD with the FC. So we are looking forward, if possible, we are looking forward to work together with some standard or some FC parts in buildingSMART data dictionary with UIC. Yeah.
I would like to add something, because you are addressing also, among other things, a universal problem. The IFC schema is very close to a conceptual schema. It talks about entities that are understood by domain experts. We'll take a very simple parallel. What's a switch? Well, you have switches on the wall here, but I'm a railway guy, so I meant switch a turnout, or in English, British English, a set of points, or okay, call it the way you want. And in fact, at an early stage of the system, the current so-called system pillar project, we were asked, and UIC and others, Alstom was also on board, to set up a glossary for the project. And usually a glossary is something you find on a PDF, which has two columns. You have a word and you have an explanation, or maybe an abbreviation and an explanation. Then I don't know how to solve in a glossary the problem of telling what a switch is. Because when you say switch, you have at least two different concepts in mind. And then you express the concepts in different ways. If it's a railway switch, say turnout, set of points, all good. And then transpose it to other languages, it's still something different. With lots of false friends. Huh? Plateforme en français is one thing, it's on board. Platform in English, it's on the infrastructure. So okay, that's extremely confusing. So we were faced with a decision, a basic decision at the beginning of the project. Shall we have a glossary with one layer, that is one entry, one explanation? Or shall we follow what has been recommended by some nerds in research projects, you know, linguists, etc.? We say you should have two layers. You should have a conceptual layer and a wording layer, so to say. To my biggest surprise, people embraced the correct solution, namely having two layers, and we implemented it. So yes, that could be something for BSDD, because when you say buildingSMART data dictionary, well, dictionary evokes how people speak. And maybe in the Anglo-Saxon sphere, the words are unambiguous and one word, one concept. Well, not always. Huh? But as soon as you open it to people speaking continental English or Singlish or something like that, it might be slightly different. And then there are all the dialects, company by company sometimes. And this is why it would be important in a tool like BSDD if if buildingSMART would expand it, to separate the two layers and have, on the one hand, the concept illustrate, and the concept is IFC something. Yeah. Or an enumerated property like track or turnout, which is an enumerated property in IFC. And then you have the linguistic layer. And the linguistic layer is, of course, totally coupled, of course, but distinct. And then, according to where the reader comes, you will see under track, enumerated, turnout, enumerated type, you will get set of points because the guy is British. And if the guy is from China, maybe he has two different expressions to designate the stuff, but with nuances that the IFC conceptual layer ignores. But better to mention them in the dictionary, otherwise it's not a dictionary. So maybe that partition between conceptual layer and vocabulary layer, what the people say or write, would be of interest. And it's not that complicated to set up. We did it in the course of the system pillar, and we can live with it, of course.
I'm sorry, I got one more thing. Is like this is contact information, because like we want the suggestions from worldwide, and we want to work with different companies from different countries. This is our contact information. If you want to know more about our project, or if you want to join us as a partner, or if you have any suggestions, even just a slight suggestion, you can feel free to send the email to send the email here and give us suggestions. Thank you.
So thank you for attending today, and we're looking forward to seeing you in other sessions of the summit. Bye.